And then I heard a couple of things about this particular model, the third way model in your book. One of them is that the employers will have more and more loyal employees, and at the same time, employees will feel more ownership towards the company for which they are working. So having these two advantages, in spite of that, why are not many companies adopting this model?
Well, I think what it is, the ESOP. When you talk about it, I don't know. It's a complex. There's complexities there, and people are not demanding it. People are just settling for easy solutions like minimum wage, and people are not knowing about it. That's why we want to educate the people. How many people go through the financial literacy training and talking about how to amass wealth? The people who are wealthy, they already know that, and ordinary people don't know about it. That's why this book is not a book that is not for academia, but I think it is more for the common person who can learn about how the various economic principles evolved over a period of time. Starting with the history of United States from the 1776, the Industrial Revolution period, how the whole thing moved from a feudalistic society to a democratic society. All that type of thing we talk about that in this. And I think it's like anything. Sometimes the politicians, many times they have very short attention span. They are looking at, how do I win the next election? How could I raise the funds so that I can keep getting elected, rather than they're not looking at that long-term thinking. And I think that's why we are trying to advance this idea. And a lot of the economists are telling, and I think, for example, if you look at Hillary Clinton, presidential candidate, and she has talked about profit sharing as one of the things as part of her platform. And you listen to Senator Bernie Sanders, who's a presidential candidate. He talks about income inequality, and he talks about broad-based ownership, and we need to create more owners of the wealth, and that he talks about that. I think that is what, before that, it never got that much of traction. And President Ronald Reagan was a pioneer in that. After Abraham Lincoln and President Ronald Reagan, he signed the ESOP into law, and somehow along the way things got lost. So we are trying to wake up people and say, you lost your way, come on, get back on the right track, and just don't talk about only raising minimum wage or just talk about cutting corporate taxes. There has to be a third way, and see how we can increase the employee ownership and create these programs. And if they have worked for 10,000 companies and 15 million Americans have benefited, why not you expand it further? So it's a movement. It has to come. And in one of the chapters in our website, we talk about how to reach out to the legislators and bring this issue to their attention. As a legislator, I introduce a legislation trying to create at the state level, trying to give 30% tax credits, because we have to save the Main Street USA. And a lot of the mom and pop shops, when they're selling, if they sell it to their employees, they can get the tax credits. If they sell it to out-of-state corporations, the employment goes out, and then they're not benefiting. Local economies are not benefiting. So these are powerful ideas. Governor Terry Branstad of Iowa, and he is a big believer in ESOPs, and he signed this legislation at the state level into law. So I think it's the movement, and there's academia is trying, a lot of the non-profit associations are trying to advance this idea, but good things come, right? I mean, good things come to those people who keep on, who stick to it and keep working at it and be persistent.
Perfect. Now, is this book written with the objective of reaching out to employers, employees, legislators, or is there any particular section? Or
it's for everybody. I mean, it talks about how wealth is created, what is it all about, what is the third way is all about, how does the ESOPs work, how does the employee stocks options, and a common person can learn about some of the issues that ownership of capital and why it's important, and in the 21st century, in the information age, and then heavily technology-based economy, how in a global economy, how to get that wealth. Just don't focus just on the wages. A lot of the times when you look at the union contracts, they talk about only wages, which is less risky. So of course, when you have capital ownership, there is certain level of risk is involved, and I think you need to combine steady wages income plus some incentive with the employee ownership, and that even if the labor unions also adapt to this thing to changing dynamics of the economics, then I think we make a big push and make a lot of progress.
Now, as far as this model is concerned, do you think that this is valid for a particular company with an annual revenue of X number of millions of dollars or something like that? The reason I'm asking is, how relevant is it for a small mom and pop shop, or is there any a minimum?
No, I think as long as you have employees and you can set it up. I mean, a lot of the time it's very relevant when you're an entrepreneur and you are setting up a new company. A lot of the times you don't have the money to pay the people the full wages,
and then the employees may leave very soon. I mean,
right,
the turnover may be very
so you want to say,
faster.
look, you stick with it, and if this stock becomes big, and when the company grows, you are going to be like big. And when Bill Gates started his company, Microsoft, in his garage, right? Or Stephen Jobs in Apple. It's all about people coming together, sharing the wealth, and there is an opportunity not just getting quick wages, but also ownership, and that ownership can become big. I mean, who would have thought that Google stock will be so or Microsoft stock? We never knew, but I think that's what ownership makes, and you work harder. You think it's you own. Like for example, when you rent a car, did you ever take your car for a car wash? Right. When you go to a hotel, when you stay in a hotel, you threw towels. You didn't take care of it. It's not yours. But if let's say you own that, you go home, that's you own it. So you take good care of it. So I think that's what the concept is. When you own something, you tend to take good care of it, work hard at it. Also, your colleagues, your peers, they're also owners, co-owners. So they're going to put pressure on you. If you're slacking off, they will say, hey, you cannot, Gopal, you cannot slack off. You got to work hard because you are working, I have a stake in it.
Yeah, that's very good model. Now, do you have any particular timeline, like how long it will take for this idea for everyone to absorb and then take some action, whether it's on a federal level or a state level? No,
I think there are some legislations currently on the Capitol, and there are also some legislations at the state level in New Jersey, and Iowa already has passed it. We're trying to work with legislators in New York and other states. It's a movement. It takes some time, but it's education. A lot of people, when we go on the radio shows and television, talk to people, they don't know about it. And so I think the first step is to learn about this thing, and the second step is to see how we can do the policy advocacy with the legislators at the various levels, state and federal levels, and try to move this idea.
Excellent. And then I see that there's a lot of passion within you for this concept, for this model. So what is being done so that more and more people get into this fold and then do their part to make it more expansive and then more used?
Right, that's what we're doing right now. We're talking to various media and writing op-eds and trying to write articles, having them write about it, doing an outreach. First step is to outreach, educate, mass. They educate the politicians, educate towards policy advocacy. So these are all step by step we are doing that, and it is not an easy task. It's a challenging task because people, the attention spans are lower, and they're not. Everybody's looking for quick solutions. It's not a quick solution, but it's a well thought out, long-term plan for amassing wealth.
Now, is there a plan to reach out specific sections of people from various states? You mentioned about one particular state, Iowa. I think they have already adopted this one. So is there any specific action plan to reach out to more people?
Right.
across the
One of the
country?
things I'm doing is that working with my colleague, former colleague, Assemblyman Gordon Johnson, and trying to get that idea in New Jersey. Once I get that New Jersey idea done, then I can go to other places. Hey, otherwise people will ask, what happened to your home state? You are not able to do that. So, and also talk to some people in New York. And it takes, as a commissioner, I'm very busy. And this is done part-time in my free time. I try to do this. And it does require full-time attention to this thing. But I want to thank you for taking the time and talking about this very important topic. And countries like India, emerging economies, can benefit that. Unlike United States, which is already well established, emerging economies, they can start with this approach, and then they don't have to fix anything. They can really address the issue of income inequality and the big divide that's happening between the very wealthy and very poor people. So we have to create very strong middle class, and that's what we are advancing here.